Welcome to Griff Burns Books. I'm Griff. This is my poem, The Hospital Guerrilla Guy's Glory. In Al-Qut, the mission was to deliver hospital supplies. We were in high-back Humvees, plenty of firepower to escort 7 tons. This guerrilla guy delivered so many hospital things. A crowd of kids and women began to come see. One brave boy approached me. Mister, he said as he touched my armored flak. Is this you? He inquired of me. I didn't want to be misunderstood. We're all human too. I rip open my flak, exposing my sweat-covered chest. This is me. I began to beat my chest like King Kong, screaming like Tarzan. The brave boy started to mimic me. It was the end of a long day, hospital supplies delivered. Mission accomplished, but now I had a fan club of Iraqi Tarzan children, a large group following our exit, pounding their chests, screaming and smiling as they mimic me. They'll grow up to become our enemy, my lieutenant told me. We're all human. That is my glory. That's my poem, The Hospital Guerrilla Guy's Glory. Thank you for watching. Again, this is Griff Burns Books. Welcome. This is a Moonbeam production. Subscribe, like, comment, share. We love all that feedback today. I'm going to review a book for you that is just poetry. It's Philip Levine, The Last Shift. And like I said, it's just all poetry for this episode, guys. It's just straight poetry. So we're going to just dive right into it. First off, Philip Levine is a celebrated poet. He was the U.S. Poet Laureate in 2011 and 2012. Very good poet. He comes from a Jewish background who grew up in Detroit. Very hardworking, blue-collar kind of poetry is his style, his fashion. Very Detroit-centric, very like I said, blue-collar and hard-working. He also was a teacher for a long time after he became a published poet and was celebrated. He taught at Cal State for 30 years in the English department there. He won the Pulitzer Prize in 1995 for The Simple Truth. And The Simple Truth is a poem that is not in this book, but it is an amazing poem. Google it, look it up, and just listen to him tell it to you directly on YouTube. It's there. But I really enjoyed The Last Shift. This is a great piece of literature that was put together actually by Philip's friend. So this book was put together by Edward Hirsch, who also wrote the foreword for this book. And he really captures Philip Levine in the foreword, but the book is just poetry, guys. I'll show it to you. It's just poetry. There's nothing fancy about it. It is broken up into 3 different sections, but really the sections, they really don't have anything. They're just broken up. So there's just 3 different sections. You can just read it straight through, or the table of contents here has every poem listed. There's about 35 of them in here, and so I'm going to read you my favorite one that I like from this book, The Last Shift. And so let's just get to that. So this one is Zero for Conduct from Philip Levine. The bartender says, please, and then suggests they go somewhere else to finish their fight. He's had it. Night after night, the story's always the same. Zero just wants a place in which to quietly ruin his life. The words are his, and Estelle just requires he live in torment of her design. 1948, Miami Beach, Zero. Further down on his luck than even I, waiting tables in the last Jewish diner in Christendom. Peeling potatoes, learning fry cooking from an ex-con from Fresno. So the 4 of us, I had a sidekick in Cuban porno films teaching me Spanish, set out for the topper of the Zero worked until the night he lay down on the parquet, face down, and begged Jesus Christ to kill him. The audience had hissed, so he pissed his pants. Tonight the warm moonlight and world seems full of possibility. At sky's edge the stars open and close their eyes as those flirting with the little band of for sure losers. I can hear the ocean sighing out there where the invisible enters my sight. To become a cliche, Zero suddenly stops, stamps out his cigarette, points heavenward to announce that the one God of his boyhood is hiding his face in the light show and won't appear this side of death unless it's the sea out there churning at rest. Then he dubs Estelle, Queen of the Night, ascend to your throne. He tries to lift her by the elbows, but the weight of her cradle, constant and incomprehensible, holds her earthward. Why I woke the next morning just after the false dawn of someone's couch to hear Zero's prayer, rapping Tinflin. I'll never know, nor what silenced Estelle at last, nor why the cold sea swallowed the sky, nor why I've chosen to tell you this. So that's Zero for Conduct, and that's my favorite one. Kind of is just showing the hopelessness of some of these situations that Philip is talking about, and he's very well acquainted with. And it's just an amazing poem. I'm also going to read to you The Last Shift, which this poem and this book is about kind of the a lost demographic of American society. The factory worker, the blue collar worker, or even not the blue collar, but the impoverished immigrant worker. Philip Levine comes from a Jewish background, but also from Russian immigrant worker background who migrated from Eastern Europe to Western Europe to Canada and then eventually to Detroit. And The Last Shift, I'm going to read this poem to you right here. I get pretty nostalgic thinking about it. It's kind of like, it reminds me of that like Main Street America classic Americana vibe that is dead and gone, for lack of a better word. The Last Shift. I had been on my way to work as usual when the traffic stalled a quarter mile from the railroad crossing on Grand Boulevard. Then I saw the moon rise above the packing sheds of the old Packard plant. The moon at 7:30 in the morning, and the radio went on playing. The same violins and voices I didn't listen to each morning. Back in the alley, the guys in greasy dark wool jackets were keeping warm by the little fire, made from fence posts and garage doors, and tossing their empty wine bottles into the street, where they shattered on the frosted roofs of cars and scattered like chunks of ice. A police car dozed across the street, its motor running. I could see two of them eating sugary donuts and as delicate as the two elderly women and drinking their coffee from little styrofoam cups. Soon the kids would descend from these lightless houses, gloved and scarved, on their way to school with tin boxes of sandwiches and cookies. They would slide on the ice and steal each other's foolish hats and laugh while they still could, their breath pushing out in the morning air in little trumpets of steam. I wondered if anyone would step from the faceless two-storied houses beside me, all of its rooms torn into view, its connections a tubing gone, the furniture gone, the floors ripped up for firewood. Up ahead I could hear that the train had stopped and the bells went on ringing for a minute. The blinking arms of light went from red to nothing. Around me the engines began to die, and then my own went. It was strangely quiet, another town or maybe another world. I could feel a deep cold slowly climbing my legs, which wouldn't move. My eyes began to itch and blink on the darkness I had never seen before. I knew these tiny glazed pictures, a car hood, my own speedometer, the steering wheel, the windshield fogged over, were the last I'd ever see. These places where I had lived all the days of my life were giving up their hold on me, and not a moment too soon. So Philip Levine does kind of escape his diary or dreary circumstances. Like I said, he's a celebrated poet. He has a style that I enjoy to read because I've kind of adopted it for my own poetry. It tells a story where him and his demographic and his society are the centerpiece of that story. It's free verse monologues. It's either in tri or terameter poetry. So it can get confusing, and it helps to have a little bit of context if you're going to pick this book up. Again, this is The Last Shift by Philip Levine. And if you like poetry, or you're even interested in poetry just a little bit, I highly suggest picking this one up and reading it. It's excellent. Definitely lots of time you can spend. Just pick a poem out and read it. Read a poem a day or however you want. So if you're interested in poetry, if you're interested in the blue collar worker and kind of a culture that is long gone now. Definitely check out The Last Shift by Philip Levine. So that's Burned now, guys. This is Griff Burns Books. This is a Moonbeam production. Please subscribe, comment, like, give us feedback. We love all of it. Next week, actually, you know, it's been kind of a long week. I know a lot of you out there. Just stay strong and do good for your neighbors and your family. Stick together and take care of each other. So I'm actually going to take next week off of our videos. Moonbeam Productions is going to go on like a little hiatus / vacation, or we're just going to stay around and watch cool movies. But I'm going to go ahead and review this one, The Battle of Leyte Gulf, The Last Fleet Action by H.P. Wilmot. And so this is going to be not nearly as cool as the poetry, guys. This is going to be very dry, kind of boring military history, and I'm going to review it for you guys too. I'm really interested in this book. The Leyte Gulf has a personal connection to me. My grandfather, Nephi Rolfe Griffiths, was a sailor in World War II. He was an engineer in the United States Navy, and he fought in the Leyte Gulf and was sunk in the Leyte Gulf as well. So I'm really interested. I'm going to take 2 weeks to go ahead and do a deep dive on this one just for my own sake so I can get all into it. Like I said, it's going to be really boring military history, and so we'll dive into that for you guys. I'm going to enjoy it, but it'll probably be boring for everybody else. Also, when we review the Battle of Leyte Gulf, I'm going to read a poem, not from my own collection, but from here, Amit Majmudar and Dothead. I haven't decided which poem I'm going to read to you guys yet, but I'm going to read a poem from this one as well. So thanks for watching. Thanks for watching Griff Burns Books. This is a Moonbeam production. Please subscribe, like, comment, and take care of each other. Have a good week.